Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm going to talk about Town 66 by Christoph Kanzler and Anja Vrede, which is a game for 1 to 4 players, which plays in about 15 minutes for ages 9 and up. It's a tile laying game with lots of colorful tiles, and before I open up the box and teach you how to play the game and share my thoughts on it, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that really does help a lot. And if you'd like to support what I do, there's also a Patreon page, and you can support me for as little as just €1 per month or more, which is also greatly appreciated. And in return, you will get your name in the credits of all of my videos, early access to my videos, and also access to some Patreon exclusive content. All right, let's open up the box and get started. Town 66, let's take a look at the box. Small Oink game box, always nice. Some abstract town art there, little houses. Town 66, and on the back, get some more cards there, and a little bit of a flavor text of what that game is about. And it says it is a game for 1 to 4 players, which plays in about 15 minutes for ages 9 and up, and it has the contents listed as well. Let's open it up. There we go. We have game instructions in English, in German, in Spanish, and in French. Then we have a whole bunch of pre-punched tokens, very nicely arranged by color. How cool is that? We have some wooden token holders, I guess. You can put tokens in there. Let me just, I'm gonna have to do this anyway. So we have that. And 4 of those. Nice little divider there, just barely fits, and a little token bag that you're gonna need to fold up and store like that, so it folds double, and then double again, and then double again. Then you can store it in here. It's a tiny box, but it's gonna be a little bit of a hassle getting all of that back in, I guess, but it is compact. But yeah, these are all the tokens in different colors with all of these different houses on them. So let's have a look at how that works and set up a game. To set up a game of Town 66, take the bag and put all the tiles inside the bag and give that a good shake. Give every player one of these tile stands. There are 4 in the game. And then every player randomly draws 4 tiles without looking from the bag and places them on their stand without showing them to the other players, so they only see the back of those tiles. Next, choose a starting player, and that player takes 1 tile randomly without looking from the bag and puts it in the middle of the table in the top left corner of an imaginary 6 by 6 grid. Now you're ready to play, let's explain the rules. In Town 66, all players are trying to create a 6 by 6 grid of houses that all have different colors and shapes in each row and column. The player with the fewest tiles left at the end of the game, and in the case of the same amount of tiles, the player that kept playing the longest will win the game. The game has a total of 36 house tiles in 6 different shapes and 6 different colors. Every player takes their turn in clockwise order, and the first thing you do at the start of your turn is to check if you can exchange any tiles, and you can do so if you have 3 or more house tiles of the same shape or the same color in your hand. Exchanging them is optional, but you can do so. So I'll just open up my hand right here so you can see that I have all different, almost all different shapes, but different colors. So I don't get to exchange anything. But if, for example, this player over here had another yellow tile, then they could, if they wanted to, exchange the 3 matching tiles by placing them back into the bag, mixing the tiles, and then blindly taking out 3 new tiles. If you have 4 matching tiles, you still only exchange 3. Should you again have 3 matching tiles after exchanging them, you can simply exchange again. And on your turn, you will be placing one of your tiles in the town, adhering to a couple of rules. First of all, one side must always be adjacent to another tile. So that means you can only place houses orthogonally next to another house, so you can't place them diagonally. So I could place my house here. I cannot place a house of the same shape or color in the same row or column. So I can't place this house here nor here. I could on a later term place it here because this one has a different color and a different shape. And since it is a 6 by 6 grid, I can also not place a 7th tile in any row or column. Then after having placed one of my tiles in the grid, I draw a new one from the bag without looking again and without showing it to other players. So I get this one, I put it on my tile holder here. And after doing that, any player can always decide if they want to discard one of their tiles back into the bag. Now that means that you will permanently make your hand smaller, because right now I have 4 tiles. So every turn I play a tile and I draw a tile back to 4. But after that, I can on any turn decide if I want to discard one, but that would make my hand smaller. So that also would mean that I would have less choices to place on the grid, making my turns harder and harder. But in the end, the goal is to have as little as possible tiles, or possibly 0 tiles left. But you also want to be the longest in the game in case of a draw. So you really have to be careful on deciding when to start discarding tiles. Then you pass the bag to the next player, and they will also check their hand, of course in secret, and then see what they want to place on the grid. So they could, for example, take one of these, so they have more colors left on next turns. So they can't put this one in this column or this row because it has the same shape there. They could place it here, or they could simply place this one anywhere because this is a different shape and color from any card that was already played. So this is the top left, so you can't place it here or here. You're gonna build out towards the right and towards the bottom with a maximum of 6. So let's say they placed their tile here and they drew a new tile and then passed the bag. They decide not to discard anything and pass the bag to the next player. Play continues, and when a player cannot place any more tiles, or they have placed all of their tiles onto the grid, then they basically exit the game for a bit after placing their last tile on the grid, so they do not replenish a new tile from the bag if they played their last tile. And the rest of the players keep playing. Once all players cannot place any more tiles, or they have all placed all of their tiles, the game ends. So if we were to continue playing this game, then this could be a potential outcome where the third player had to drop out of the game first because they couldn't play any more tiles onto the grid, and the first and the second player keep on playing until at some point the second player also could not place any more tiles. And in this example, all players were left with 2 tiles, but the first player was in the game the longest, so they win. Town 66 can also be played solo, and these are the rules for playing the game solo. Shuffle up all the tiles and make 3 stacks of 12 tiles each. Then simply choose the top house from any of the stacks and place them in the top left, starting your grid. And from there on, you just keep on playing tiles, picking one of the tiles from the top of the stacks and placing them in your grid. You're trying to place as many tiles in your grid as you can, following the same rules as the multiplayer rules, meaning that you can only place tiles orthogonally adjacent to others, and they can't be of the same shape or color as houses already in the same row or column. If you placed a tile incorrectly and you find out at some point, you fail the game and you have to restart. During the game, you may perform either of the following actions up to 2 times during the game while ignoring the shape, not the color. You may place one tile face down, so it still has to be a different color, but you can ignore the shape, or you can turn over an existing tile face down. Once you've picked up a house tile, you have to place it, and once a tile has been placed, it cannot be changed anymore. You keep on playing until you cannot place any more of the top tiles from the 3 stacks into the grid, or all of the tiles have been placed. When that happens, you check the rule leaflet to see how many tiles you've placed and what your skill level was. Those are all the rules on how to play Town 66. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on Town 66 by Oink Games, who were kind enough to send me a copy to review. Let's start with the components. So you first of all get a tiny little box, just like all Oink games, and these boxes are very sturdy, very compact, easy to bring along, and I love that. It also doesn't take a lot of space on your shelves, which is excellent. Inside you get a cloth bag with a whole bunch of tiles in different shapes of buildings and different colors. They are of a good standard tile quality, so that's good. And you also get 4 of these wooden tile holders, which are also excellent and do their job very well. So all in all, components are very good. The artwork is, again, as with most Oink games, very minimalistic, but I do like it. I love the look of the box, even though the houses here are all black, but it has such a cool and minimalistic cover design. And then all of these tiles have these little buildings on them in different shapes and colors. It just looks really cool. It is very clear, because that's what's important here. It's a tile laying game where you're trying to not match color and shape, so you have to clearly be able to see what's on them. And they are also distinguished with little lines. They are also on the back of these tiles. They have dotted lines and full lines and wavy lines, so even the colorblind can easily make out the different colors by just looking at the shape of those lines that go through these houses. The theme is okay. I guess you're building a town, you're laying tiles which have houses. Supposedly they're basically just shapes. They do have these little windows on them, so I guess, but yeah, you're making a grid of houses in a 6x6 block, which is fine, but the theme doesn't really matter that much. It's a pattern game, it's a tile laying game, and that's all that matters really. So while theme is fun, it's not really important for the gameplay. So let's move on to the gameplay then. I love tile laying games. I like matching games. If you've ever played Quirkle, that's also a great game where you're putting little wooden blocks with shapes, but then you're trying to match either color or shape in a row or column. Here, you're trying to avoid that. So you're trying to make a column or a row that has all different shapes and different colors. You cannot have a row with just one similar shape or color. So that is a lot more difficult and a lot more challenging. So it's a lot of fun. It's just fun placing them, trying to find a spot where you can place your tiles. It's also fun trying to guess when is the best time to discard a tile permanently, because then you're making your hand small. You're going from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 tiles. Hopefully you'll be able to play your last tile as well. And hopefully you'll be able to do that before other players. You're trying to block other players from playing tiles as well. You're trying to stay as long in the game as possible, but also to have as least tiles as possible. Because if you can't play your tile anymore, then you're out of the game. You could still win if the others have more tiles and then can't play anymore. If you end up being the person with the least tiles at the end of the game, then you win. But of course, if other people can keep on playing, then they might just be able to play those last tiles and beat you. So it's a bit of a press your luck game as well. It's called the randomness of the draw. But every house in every shape and color is only in there once. So you can kind of deduce what's still in the bag. And that to me is also a lot of fun. It plays well with all player counts. I've played this with 2 people. You can also play it solo if you want to. We've played it with 4 people, and that was just as much fun. The replayability is pretty good. The game plays pretty quickly. It's like 15 minutes and the game is over. So you usually just want to play again and again because it's just that much fun. And the replayability, it basically remains replayable and fun for as long as you enjoy the game, which in my opinion can be a very long time, because this is definitely something I want to keep in my collection. Furthermore, because it's such a small game, it doesn't take up any space at all, so I can just keep it and yeah, play it whenever I want. Finally, the language dependency then. Of course, as with most Oink games, this game is fully language independent. It's a color and shape matching game. There is no text whatsoever on any of these tiles. All you need is the rules, and that's that. So you can play this with just about anyone, which is also excellent. So in the end, I really enjoyed this game. I think it scores well on all accounts, and I can surely recommend it. So check it out. That's Town 66 by Oink Games. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps the channel. And also check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support what I do by clicking the link in the description below or the icon at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.